Greetings 205 students. I hope this video finds you well. In this quick teacher chat that I'll do every week, I'm going to give you guys a few pointers for the week ahead and introduce some of the concepts. As you can see on the screen, I have a Word document up. It has a few bullet points that I want to go over. First things first, most of you did the quiz just fine and the discussion posts just fine. You'll see that I go in and kind of respond to some of your discussion posts, but just remember this past week's discussion was not graded, it was just practiced. As we go forward this week, it will be the first graded discussion posts that we have. They're worth 25 points. You get 20 points for writing your post according to the directions and 5 points for posting on 2 of your peers' posts. Couple reminders, don't forget to use 2 quotes from any of the readings or videos that week. I do want to see you engaging with the different texts. Second, do more investigation than summary. A few of you had more summaries of the story, Big Black Good Man, rather than observations. You'll notice in your writing if you're saying things like, first this happened, then this happened, last this happened, you should catch yourself and realize that that's more summary than analysis. And I'm looking for you guys to do some kind of analysis. Don't worry about it being fancy, but I do need you to be asking questions, pushing your ideas, wondering about things, stuff like that. And lastly, also ask questions of yourself and others. So not just within your post should you be inquisitive, you should also be inquisitive with your peers. And it's not to say that you guys weren't very nice to each other, you guys were, but I also want to see you push each other to say, how did you know that? What in the text made you think that? Could you have thought of it this way? I never thought of it that way. Those types of framings. So, great discussion posts. I look forward to reading more. Second, the second week is about defining rhetoric. So please watch the videos and read the textbook. You should have the textbook by now. If you don't, I would recommend, if you have access to an Amazon account, renting it online from Amazon. It's cheap and efficient. If you're not into Amazon and you prefer to use a different source, just keep in mind that you may get behind in the reading and the concepts. I really enjoyed reading posts about the textbook itself. I will admit it's not my favorite textbook, but I love that it makes me work harder in some ways. And a couple of you had really good attitudes about it, even if it wasn't your favorite textbook, so I appreciate that. So we're spending week 2 defining what rhetoric means. And even if you kind of know, oh, it's about argument, I want us to pay close attention to these rhetorical appeals. The pathos, ethos, logos, and kairos are really important. Not just that you know how to define them, but you know how to recognize them and you understand how they work together. When we teach, we kind of inorganically separate them, but they're really always working together. Please take a look at the Jake Romm article that analyzes Time Magazine's Trump cover from just after the 2016 election. It's a very good example of rhetorical analysis. It can be a little wordy, but he does a really lovely extended 5-paragraph essay that takes a close look at how the cover works. I will say again, as with any of the readings I give you, I'm not necessarily trying to promote a particular position politically, but I am trying to promote how the writing comes across. So please look at how Jake Romm writes the article rather than what he is saying when you post about it in the discussion posts. Lastly, on that note, on Tuesday in our optional class hours from 12 to 1, I will explicitly want to go over the Romm article. If you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to attend to those too, but I think making sure we have some kind of opportunity to discuss the Romm article is helpful. And that's because your first assignment, Inquiry 1, is asking you to do something very similar. So now I'm going to have you guys look at the Inquiry 1 assignment sheet with me. This is also on the module to read through, but I thought I'd give you an introduction. So every inquiry, there will be 3 this summer, start with inquiry questions. These questions are just guiding your overall work for the 3 weeks. So here they are. How do images in a text try to persuade me or another audience to believe or do something? What rhetorical strategies are found in everyday visuals? How do bodies make arguments? So these are ideas about argument, about visual rhetoric, and of course about bodies. Those are the guiding principles of this inquiry. But here's your task. In this inquiry, you will write a rhetorical analysis about how memes make arguments. So in general, memes have been around for over 100 years. Ever since we've had print culture, magazines, newspapers, pamphlets, people have created memes. It could either be, all the way on one side is like political propaganda, or all the way on the other side is just kind of comics or entertainment. Today, oftentimes, memes are pictures and words that are created to critique or satirize an idea. You're going to choose a meme and break it down into its rhetorical moves to connect what's in the image with how it's persuasive and why it might be used for certain audiences and contexts. And I give you this example of the skeleton sitting there, and the caption reads, "Teachers be like, I'm just going to wait till it's quiet." The humor here is, of course, that if the body is a skeleton and not a teacher, that the teacher had to wait so long for the class to be quiet that the teacher died. A little morbid, of course, but you can kind of see an example of a meme you could choose. So, step 1, choosing your meme. So your task is to choose just one meme, and I'll refer to it as a text that has at least one image of a body or bodies in it and a caption of some kind. So again, you're working with both images and words. Ideally, the meme includes a topic and images you are familiar with. Also, make sure the meme has enough detail to discuss in your essay. Other questions to consider here, is there a social political context? Do you know the reputation of the people or ideas? What assumptions can you make about it? Who's the intended audience? That last bullet point is very important. Just because something is found on the internet does not mean everyone is the audience. The intended audience is the audience that you think the creator of the meme intended for the meme to make laugh, to critique, to call out, to catch their eye in some way, shape, or form. Please note that this assignment is not asking for you to choose a side about the topic in the meme. In fact, it should not be apparent when you do this essay what your opinion of the topic is. The goal is to come up with an evaluation of how well the authors create argument about the topic, not the topic itself. So again, to go back here, if I were to use this skeleton meme as my text for the assignment, I would not write about whether or not I think waiting for students to be quiet in class is a good teaching method. I would write about whether or not this is an effective meme in and of itself. So just keep that in mind. So this week you're going to need to choose your meme, choose your text, and then you're going to need to brainstorm with a heuristic. A heuristic is just a fancy way of saying a brainstorming device, but I use this word because heuristic also implies that it guides you through steps rather than just lets you vomit out information. So I try to use heuristics in the writing process to help students guide their brainstorming rather than just hoping that they come up with some ideas. So step 2, brainstorm with the heuristic. After you've chosen a text, you'll fill out a heuristic to help you break down the text into its rhetorical components. The heuristic is found in our module 2. It does take a minute to fill out the heuristic. You're going to need to ask questions of your meme, even if some of those questions don't result in answers. You still need to tell me, you know what, there really isn't very much pathos here. There's not a lot of emotion, The heuristic is also going to help you look at textual details, which is found in the image itself, as well as contextual ones. Basically, the context is everything that surrounds it, where it's found, the time and place it could have been created, other audiences, influences, stuff like that. So that's this week. Choosing a text, doing the heuristic, submitting both of those. As we go on in the next 2 weeks, you're going to draft the rhetorical analysis essay, and you're going to write me a writer's letter. Those will be due the third week of this inquiry. I'm not going to go through them here in detail, but make sure you read everything and understand what I'm asking you. Next week, you will see an example of Inquiry 1 from a past student, so that should help guide your drafting. Just know that the purpose of Inquiry 1 is to help you investigate texts that have rhetorical messages for a broader audience. This will show how pervasive rhetorical strategies are in our society and give you practice at recognizing them. Some of you may already make up your own memes anyway. That's really awesome. Hopefully this inquiry sets you up to understand how the meme works, and then as we go into the second inquiry, you're going to practice making your own arguments. As for grading, Inquiry 1's worth 25% of the grade, but notice that it's broken down. The heuristic and rough draft are each worth 5%, and the final essay is worth 10%. Lastly, the writer's letter is worth 5%. A solid grade reflects the thoroughness of the observations and how clearly you communicate them in an essay. If you have any questions, please attend either the class hours on Tuesday from 12 to 1 or my office hours on Friday from 9 to 10. If neither of those times works for you, let me know. I'm happy to set up an appointment. Again, I really enjoy reading all of your posts and introductions to selves this week. I look forward to knowing more from you guys. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.